Right. In this video, I'm going to talk about something which is probably one of the biggest annoyances that people who run exams have to deal with. That's a situation where you have to evacuate an exam room. Usually it doesn't happen because there is an actual fire or an actual emergency. It usually happens because someone somewhere in the school has set off a fire alarm as a joke or something like that. But obviously it has quite big consequences if you're running exams, because you've got to get the students out safely and you've got to try, and this I think is a kind of impossible job, to stop them from communicating and sharing information about the exams with one another. You can obviously do your best, but I think it's a very difficult thing to actually achieve. In terms of the exam room and Examscreen, the big thing that you've got to be able to do is make sure that the students, when they come back in after the evacuation, have the right amount of time allocated to them to compensate them for what they've lost through the evacuation. And in this video, I'm going to show you what not to do and what to do in order to achieve that. So the first thing to say really is that Examscreen isn't sort of a magic pill in this situation. There are certain things which an invigilator has to do as a matter of course anyway. And in relation to the timing of the exam, the most important thing is to record the time at the point that you evacuate the room, and to record the time obviously when you restart. What you're trying to find out is the amount of time that the students have lost as a result of the evacuation. That's the key sort of figure really, is the amount of time lost. Sometimes people ask me, is it possible to pause the clock on Examscreen? Firstly, it isn't, but also it wouldn't be desirable either, because the clock is meant to show the actual time. It's not meant to show a false time. So the question then becomes, okay, if students have lost a certain amount of time, how do we compensate them for it using Examscreen? Now, the first thing I would say is what not to do, which is not to add the extra time to the length of the exam. So let's say in this instance, in this GCSE exam, that the students have lost 25 minutes as a result of an evacuation. What you don't want to do is increase this amount to 2 hours and 10 minutes by adding 25 minutes to it. The reason for that is it's going to disrupt your extra time qualification, your extra time calculation, and it's going to end up giving more time to the extra time students than they're actually entitled to. What you want to do is give 25 minutes to everybody. And so the easiest way of doing that is simply to add it to the start time. So in this case, they started at 9 o'clock. So if we add an extra 25 minutes to it, you'll see then that 25 minutes is added to the normal finish time. So it goes from 10:45 to 11:10. And 25 minutes is also added to the extra time finish time, which goes from 11:12 to 11:37. Okay, so the basic rule is work out how much time has been lost and then add that time to the start time, not to the length of the exam.